Well, just thinking about some things to talk about. Obviously, you'll have some questions, and I will try to answer them as much as I can, because I really know probably less about certain things. I don't say less, but not even more either. But I was just thinking of the 26th, actually this is my 26th year. And, I served as assistant coach, head coach, director of player personnel, ran the Monarchs, TV, had all those jobs, and people always ask me, well, of all those jobs, which one have you liked the best? And I said, the one I've got now. I'm serious. I think the one I enjoyed second most was probably as an assistant coach. I enjoyed that because you could have a relationship with players. As a head coach, it's very difficult. In college, I had a lot of success because I always thought, you could have relationships and kind of be a father figure and feel like you were of some value to humanity. Whether you were or not, I don't know, but I thought that. And but in the pro game, obviously they're men for the most part. We've got a few exceptions. They're men and they're adults, and so they've got other, agents, hangers-on, the whole bit. So you're walking a tight frame there. It's all about them getting their playing time and their contracts and all that. It's a whole different world. And I've said it's a little bit, to me, coaching NBA is a little bit like being a director on a movie. Very important role, certainly, but not nearly as important to the success of the movie as the star. I go to a lot of movies, and I know I'll pay to see Jack Nicholson. I don't know who's the director most of the time. So, and that's really kind of how it is. And so it is a case where the director probably knows who the star is, or stars. And I always thought that, going back years ago, that's one of the things that made Rick Adelman such a good coach. Rick didn't have any ego. Paul Westphal doesn't either, by the way. But just going back to Rick Adelman's success, is that he had a real knack for blending in with the players. And the players all thought, they thought that all of them thought he really liked them. Now, he didn't like all of them, but they thought he did. And as you know, it's kind of like dealing with your kids sometimes. Sometimes it's pretty hard to like them. But I'm going to say I've raised a couple, or attempted to. I've said many times, like a lot of you've all figured out already, that's why some animals choose to eat their young. So you save a lot of grief, I always said one of the toughest times in my life with my daughter was one of the Royal Court dancers for a couple of years back in 2000, 2001, 2002, I think. It was a couple of those years. And geez, that was traumatic, honestly, for a father. I really enjoyed watching the dancers before. and I've enjoyed watching them since. Boy, I didn't like it at that time, I'll tell you. I caught myself, looking around to see who's watching her. I used to really, I'd go to the lead choreographer or whatever, and I'd say, dude, can't you get a little bigger uniforms? But it's just one of those little minor. You find out some things differently from a different angle, I guess is the way I would put it. But it is a good experience for her, I think. She had to work hard for once in her life, bless her heart. Trying to traumatize her, that's another issue. So let's talk about the Kings a little bit, and then what's going to happen maybe, and then your thoughts. I thought this year, just to summarize a little bit, obviously it was a disappointing year in most ways because I thought the team would win more games, and I think should have won more games. I thought but it started just terribly, just underperformed first few months of the season terribly, in my opinion. At the end of the year, they played very well. Probably played the last couple of months like we expected. And, I think there's a lot of reasons for it, I suppose. I think the new rookie, Marcus Cousins, obviously very talented young player, very talented. The only thing that'll keep him from being an all-star is him. Now, that's very possible. I found him very, very engaging. Just from my role, being with the team from the periphery, not having to be his boss and getting to talk to him and all that, and riding the buses and all that. So you see people a little differently, but he's a very witty young guy, likable in that role. Now, would I like to coach him? I don't know. It'd be a little tough. He's a little tough to coach. He's got a little problems with authority figures, which means anybody that's older than 25. I think. I think he can, I think he can work through that. I think he made progress, but there's some issues there. But like I say, just seeing him out in the public public appearances, things are great with the little kids. They like him, he likes them. There's something there. I think two things have to happen. He has to mature, which generally speaking people do. I'm speaking from experience. I'm 67. I'm somewhat mature now. It took me longer to get there than some of you probably, but I did get there. And I think, generally speaking, it does work that way. And I think sometimes we fail to think about that, certainly for professional athletes or celebrities of any kind. 20-year-olds are 20-year-olds. And when you think about when you were a 20-year-old, I don't know if you made any mistakes at that age. I suspect you did. I know I spent a night in jail, so I thought my dad was going to bail me out. And he said, "Boy, you got in here, your mom's home crying, you've made her ashamed, and you can just spend the night here." And I spent the night there, and I kind of thought, I think, I'm going to do this no more. I don't know what I'm going to do. I ain't going to do this no more. And so, but I think he'll mature. I do, and it just matter how quick and how productively. And he has to learn to work harder. Here again, I don't think that's unusual with 20-year-olds. They think they're working when they're not. I know just from watching some of the guys we've had in the past, excellent players, the level of work they put in, and watching Kobe Bryant the other day come in, and I was over at the arena early and doing different things, but he was out there 3 hours before the game, getting in an hour of extra work. It's Kobe Bryant, 15 years as a major star. That's how you get to be. I was telling Tyreek Evans, I said, he was just coming in as Kobe was finished. I said, you might peek your head out there. You might see something that might interest you. This is how it works. Whether it's been Magic Johnson or Larry Bird, or sure they had great talent, but they worked hard. They worked hard. And of course, that's another thing about Larry. Larry wasn't always a hard worker. People always tell me, "Boy, Larry's the hardest worker in the history of the NBA." I said, he might have been. He might have been, but I can tell you one thing is that as a ninth grader in high school, he was a pain in the ass. And he was a lazy little teenage hoodlum almost. He was. But he changed, obviously. Sometimes people click in differently. I'm still waiting for my daughter to click in. But it's periodic snaps, but they don't seem to last. I said, you're going to have to I told her today a little come to Jesus talk. I said, you're going to have to either get or find a rich man. He can be old, ugly, I don't care. You say, well, I'm not going to. I said, I don't care what you do, but you either learn how to work and provide for yourself, or find somebody who can. Pretty soon, you're not going to be me. I'm expecting you to take care of me pretty soon. Sitting on the front porch, slobbering down my chin. I said, so that's what you got to look forward to if you don't find a little better route. We'll see how it works. So, if any of you guys are rich and looking for a Now let me explain this to you a little more clearly in case it sounds good. Now she is great looking, by the way. She is. She looks like her mother. I know she doesn't look like me. But I would need to see your financial statement. Okay? I've been to the county fair. I understand how this stuff works. So anyway.